Oh my goodness. Well, Blackface is at it again. He put out a video. I can tell he must be in a blue collar environment because yet again, he's lost his jacket. He's rolled up his shirt sleeves. He's loosened his tie because he's just one of the hardworking blue collar Canadians. He's just like us, Drea.
That picture is how you know he's speaking with peasants.
Oh, yeah. When he's at the University of Ottawa, he's dressed to the nines talking to the woke crowd, but I digress. And evidently, Trudeau is peddling the idea of that unbelievably subsidized Volkswagen battery factory in St. Thomas is a huge win. Let's hear what he has to say. And I'm going to tell you, Dre, I want to hear your thoughts on it too. I'm going to tell you why there's no way in hell this is a huge win. B is for battery and B is for boondoggle, and that's what we're getting. Take it away. B is for blackface.
Great news. Canada will be home to Volkswagen's new massive electric vehicle battery factory. This factory is a major win for Canada and a real vote of confidence in Canadian workers. Thousands upon thousands of jobs here in Ontario and right across the economy as we build up our critical minerals and battery supply chains. But Volkswagen isn't the only big company looking at what Canadians are doing and taking interest. Whether it's Stellantis, Michelin, ArcelorMittal Dofasco, Rio Tinto, or Honda, we're seeing companies looking to place their investments and their confidence in Canadian workers. Because that's what we're building, a clean economy that works for all Canadians. Over the past years, our Made in Canada plan has been all about that. Leadership on fighting climate change and protecting the environment. Investments in the middle class and people working hard to join it. These are the things that people are looking at to build a stronger future for their companies and for the world. That's where Canadians are stepping up. So as we lead on environment, as we work with Indigenous peoples to build better partnerships, as we move forward on supporting the middle class with things like childcare and dental care and the supports that really families need to succeed, we're delivering a stronger economy. Now, there's still some people who believe that you have to make a choice between what's good for the environment and what's good for the economy. But this announcement today, and so many others like it, proves how wrong the Conservative leader is. We're going to continue to build an economy that works for all Canadians.
Oh my God, Drea, I don't know where to begin, but I'll just get right to it. And then I want to hear you weigh in on this. First of all, he says thousands upon thousands of jobs are going to be created at this factory. How many thousands? Well, evidently, when pressed, it was between 3,000 and 8,000 jobs. Even the low figure, Drea, 3,000 jobs, I'm calling bullshit on this. This is going to be a heavily automated plant, tons of robots. The idea there's going to be 3,000 jobs there, as Siegfried used to say on Get Smart, I find that very hard to believe. Also, the amount of money, it's $13.2 billion from the federal government, $500 million from the Ontario PC government. So let's round it off to $14 billion. I'll say this, Drea. We'd be ahead of the game as taxpayers if we just took those mythical 3,000 workers and gave them $1 million, a gas-guzzling Ford Mustang GT, and probably a Caribbean villa. We'd be ahead of we'd be paying out less than what this plant is doing. You're also assuming there's going to be a market for all these batteries. And I think the predictions of how many people on the planet are going to go electrified is greatly exaggerated. Why? Because A, the price of all electric vehicles, and B, the practicality. If you're in a rural environment, if you lived in a New York City condo or apartment, where's the infrastructure for chargers going to go? It hasn't been thought out. It's all virtue signaling and wokeism. And you know what? If this was such a good deal, Drea, riddle me this. There was a great story in Blacklocks recently, and it was about if MPs wanted to see the contract between the federal and Ontario governments and Volkswagen, they had to go to a room, they had to surrender their cell phone. They weren't allowed to have any recording device. They were given a contract. They had to sit there and read it, couldn't take notes. And then at the end, they leave, they give the contract to a clerk, and it goes into a paper shredder. Excuse me, why the secret? This kind of sounds like vaccine contracts to me. I think they played the same game with that. Drea, what I'm saying is that if this is so win-win, where's the transparency, especially from Prime Minister Blackface, who promised in 2015 this was going to be the most transparent government in Canadian history? The precise opposite is true.
Of course, surprise, surprise. And of course, he's like, oh, other country or other businesses are noticing how great it is to come to Canada. Yeah, that's because you're giving $14 billion. Of course, they're coming to us. Yeah. We look like absolute fools. I don't know how much of the batteries are made from cobalt on the backs of, child slaves. He says it's like a clean option or things like that. But you're right. It is about gaslighting. Our rural areas are saying, how on earth are we going to implement any of this stuff? I heard out in I better not say which part, but in the interior of BC, just because I can't remember exactly where, so I won't say where. But interior BC, they have electric buses for the school, for the kids, and it's not even able to run half the time because they can't charge it. And they spent a ton of money on that as well. I'm going to do a report on that with more details. But this is just gaslighting the people. And of course, he didn't mention, the 14 billion in there when he's doing this little video now, did he?
And Drea, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's Vancouver, Victoria. I remember hearing about this last year. There's like an all-electric fire truck. I think it's like 3 times the price of a regular fire truck. And the range...
so expensive.
Yeah, the range is laughable. It could literally run out of juice en route to the house that's on fire. But you know what, folks? Give the fire department a break. There it is, Canada's first electric fire truck poised for rollout in Vancouver this year. But you know what? Yeah, they didn't put out the fire, folks, but think of how low the carbon footprint was when they were trying to get to the fire. That's what counts, unbelievable. And I've researched this issue extensively. And right now, the numbers, Drea, don't add up. What I liken it to with electric vehicles especially, I remember it was around 1976, 77, the first VCRs and the Betamaxes were coming out. And in mid-70s dollars, those were about $1,800 to $2,000. Huge. By the time the VCR went the way of the Dodo, my local Loblaws was blowing them out for $29. And this is 10 years ago. What I'm saying is you pay to be a trailblazer. I'll give you an example. The Ford F-150 Lightning, I think I've seen 2 on the road so far. That's the all-electric Ford pickup truck. According to Car and Driver, when they did a review of it, these are US dollars, it was $69,000 was the base price, but because of the scarcity, the dealer markup, and I've never seen a figure like this, Drea, $73,000. The dealer markup was more than the actual vehicle. So you could get 2 top-of-the-line, gas-burning Ford F-150 trucks, the luxury edition, or you can get 1 electric truck. And by the way, if you're going out into the hinterland to go hunting or camping or fishing, I don't think there's many plug-in stations out there. So, half your market, this is not a sellable thing. Are you attracted at all to going this route yourself, Drea?
Oh man, no. I was actually in a dealership the other day, and the gentleman was mentioning the salesperson was mentioning he has an e-car, and he's like, but I hate it. It's not better for the environment, and it's so annoying to go to all of these areas and stuff. So it just, like you said, I think the VHS and the VCR thing is a perfect analogy of what's going to happen. Yeah. And I also wonder what happens 10 years later, like what is the resale value of your car once its battery is low and things like that. I think that's going to be a real issue for people because a lot of people buy cars and then sell it later, and it becomes an asset, right? So, So
Drea, that's so important what you said, and I forgot to mention that. You are right. If that battery in an all-electric vehicle has to be replaced, the value of
It's
that
so
car
much.
is upside down now. You may as well buy
Yeah.
a new one. It's not worth replacing. No,
Yeah.
because it has a finite life. And by the way, if there's any critics out there going, oh yeah, but Menzoid, you're always talking about your plug-in hybrid SUV. Yeah. The reason I bought it, folks, swear to God, is that I get to drive solo in the HOV lane because I get a green license plate. But the point is, it is battery powered for about 40 kilometers on a good day. But the rest of the propulsion is good old-fashioned gasoline. Yeah, I'm not cutting that umbilical cord anytime soon. I'm not.
No.
I don't want to suffer range anxiety. I know I can always slip into a Shell or a Petro-Canada, get a fill up, and I'm not stranded. So right
we
now,
drive a lot. We do drive
this
a
is
lot.
not a good deal, Drea.
That's a clip from something we call Rebel News Daily. It's our daily live stream hosted by my friend David Menzies, but the show also includes a rotating cast of hosts and special guests, including me. It's a great way for us to talk about the news of the day as the news is happening in an unscripted fashion, and it's an awesome way for you to interact with us as well. We stream every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Mountain, wherever you find Rebel News. See you there.